but we also knew that there was an opportunity there. And, opportunity and challenge is one of those things that as a startup really excites your folks, and it is something that drives us anyway. But we knew we had an opportunity to use the Ziva technology for COVID-19 research as well. One of our co-founders, Ben Miller, who's a professor at the University of Rochester, had been using the AIR technology in the earlier iterations of this to really look at flu serology. And one of the things that his group had done at the University of Rochester as part of an NIH group was look at the previous year in 2019 had looked at what if there was a flu pandemic? What resources as a nation do we have to go after and really identify what the pandemic is and how do we operate? That exercise in 2019 was really kind of an opening into, here's how this could be used. We saw that and kind of started to talk through that internally and just said, you know what, there's an opportunity for us to help. And, one of the tough things about a pandemic like this is that sometimes it's a passing freight train, right? It's going through pretty quickly. Hopefully it comes and goes, but obviously in this case, it's not been the case. And so you start to weigh your opportunities and you have those discussions of, what is the realistic ability of us to help? Definitely not on the diagnostic side. We didn't have enough platforms out there to help, even though our tool, a lot of the early discussion around serology and false negatives and stuff like that, we knew our high definition approach could really help and rule out those, the ability to look across many different variants of the COVID-19 protein, to look at what someone's response was to other circulating coronaviruses. We knew we had a strong tool. It's just that we didn't have the install base to really be effective, and definitely not as a diagnostic. And we could have spent a lot of effort pushing and getting emergency use authorization, but I don't think that's where the value is. And I think our board, we talked about it, our value is more in demonstrating the technology and then being able to utilize it now, especially now that the pandemic has gone on and we're learning more and more about the virus and then its effect on the body. So kind of what we talked about earlier of, boy, here's this disease state. How do we know what's going on? And so this is where researchers will want to start to not only track what's going on in terms of COVID-19 infection and so on, but I think it's going to have longer implications in terms of drug trials and overall health, is understanding what your COVID status is or was. And then as we get vaccines, how well protected are you? And, we'll start to understand more of that. But I do think that the value of our tool is going to be even more realized as we start to dig in and do more research around COVID. And then as we go on and understand, is this going to be like the flu? Are we always going to need a COVID shot or something? And, what are the long-term effect on cardiovascular disease? We know inflammation from this disease is causing all kinds of problems in different areas. That's where we think we have a lot of value for researchers. And we'll start to couple our COVID panel and our infectious disease panels with the ability we have for other biomarkers, particularly cytokines and chemokines around inflammation.